They say attention is the currency of power, but Machiavelli would argue it's far more dangerous than gold. Because while most people spend their lives begging for attention, the truly powerful do something far more unsettling. They withhold it. And that single act flips the balance of power. The moment you stop feeding people your attention, they begin to starve for your presence. It's not magic. It's manipulation. A psychological vacuum that makes others chase what you've quietly taken away. Machiavelli understood that attention is not something to be given freely. It's a strategic exchange. Every time you offer someone your focus, you signal that they have influence over your emotional world. And the moment they realize that, they own you. Think about it. Most people believe attention equals connection. They chase it, crave it, live and die for it. They post, argue, flirt, and perform, all for the sake of being seen. But when someone refuses to play that game, something fascinating happens. They become the gravitational center of every room they enter. People can't stop wondering what they're thinking, what they're feeling, and why they're so unmoved by what everyone else is desperate for. Here lies the paradox. Those who crave attention get ignored, and those who deny it become irresistible. Machiavelli would say that giving attention is the purest form of surrender, because attention is energy, and energy creates hierarchy. The one who pays attention bows, and the one who receives it stands taller. When you overcompliment, argue to prove yourself right, or constantly defend your reputation, you're revealing where your emotional leash is tied. You're saying, you have power over my peace. Machiavelli's advice would be brutal but freeing. Cut that leash. He believed that anyone seeking influence must develop a presence that commands attention, not demands it. And that begins with restraint. If someone tries to provoke you, stay silent. If they expect your reaction, delay it. If they crave your validation, withhold it. Because people remember absence more vividly than presence. When you speak less, your words carry more weight. When you appear less, your presence becomes an event. You become a mystery in a world addicted to noise. There's a reason silence feels like punishment. Humans can endure hate, rejection, even humiliation, but indifference drives them insane. It triggers a primal need for acknowledgement, whispering, "Why am I not enough for you to notice?" Machiavelli understood this weakness. He knew that when people hunger for your attention, they begin to compete for it, trying to please you, agree with you, and serve your interests just to earn back what you've withdrawn. He once observed that it's not cruelty that breeds loyalty, it's uncertainty. When you become unpredictable with your attention, people grow addicted to earning it. One moment of recognition from you feels like sunlight after endless storms. And that's how emotional dependency is born, without them even realizing it. This principle applies to everything: relationships, friendships, even the workplace. The colleague who never seeks approval yet performs flawlessly becomes magnetic. The person who never texts first becomes the one everyone waits for. The leader who speaks rarely but decisively becomes unforgettable. Machiavelli knew that power doesn't always come from dominance. Sometimes it's born from emotional scarcity. Attention is like fire. It burns brighter when contained, but spreads into chaos when scattered everywhere. Most people leak their focus constantly. They comment on every online argument, reply instantly to every message, and react to every insult. They believe this makes them engaged, but in reality, it makes them predictable. And predictability kills mystique. You can't control how people see you, but you can control what they get to see. That's where the art begins. Be selective with your reactions. Turn your silence into a weapon, not a weakness. When someone disrespects you publicly, don't fight for validation. Simply watch how their energy collapses when you don't feed it. When someone flirts to get your attention, delay your response until curiosity turns into obsession. And when everyone rushes to speak, pause long enough that your words become an event of their own. Machiavelli would say, presence is a performance, but attention is the script. And the one who writes the script controls the scene. The crowd never respects the actor who begs for applause. They revere the one who stands still and makes silence louder than any speech. That is the essence of presence, to make others feel your weight, even when you're not there. So whenever you feel the urge to prove yourself, explain your worth or chase acknowledgement, stop. Remember, the need to be understood is a trap. The world isn't designed to understand you. It's designed to consume your energy. And the moment you stop feeding it, you start starving the system that kept you small. People will call you cold, distant, arrogant. Let them. Those words are proof they can feel your withdrawal. And they hate it because they can't control what they can't predict. It's ironic. When you stop giving attention, people accuse you of being self-centered. But the truth is, most of them never cared about you. They cared about how your attention made them feel. They don't miss your presence. They miss the reflection of themselves they once saw through your focus. That's why Machiavelli believed attention must always serve strategy, not emotion. Every glance, every word, every acknowledgement is an investment. Ask yourself, will this investment expand your influence or drain it? In the realm of power, the greatest advantage is selective blindness. Pretend not to see what doesn't serve your goals. Not every insult deserves an answer. Not every opportunity deserves your participation. And not every person deserves your emotional bandwidth. When you withhold your attention, you preserve your strength. And over time, that strength transforms into aura. People begin to sense that you're not as accessible as everyone else. That your attention must be earned. Think about the individuals you truly admire. They never seem desperate for recognition. Their calm detachment makes others reach for them. That's the essence of control. Machiavelli would say that true influence isn't about commanding crowds. It's about creating gravity, and the kind that makes people orbit around you without you ever having to move. And gravity is born from stillness. When you refuse to react, others start reacting to you. Attention is not affection, it's leverage. The one who controls where attention flows controls the world. Politicians, influencers, lovers, manipulators, they all operate under the same principle. The difference between them and you is awareness. They already understand that people will do anything just to be seen. You, on the other hand, must learn to do the opposite. To become so self-contained that being unseen becomes your source of power. Because the less people know about what moves you, the more they'll wonder what you're capable of. And here's the paradox that few ever grasp. The moment you stop craving attention, you begin to attract it naturally. Not because you're trying, but because indifference is the rarest form of confidence. In a world consumed by noise, detachment becomes hypnotic. People are irresistibly drawn to what they can't define. They'll project, speculate, and fantasize about your motives. And while they're busy doing that, you remain in control. Your power doesn't lie in how loudly you exist, but in how silently your presence is felt. Machiavelli called it the art of invisibility, the ability to vanish from the emotional battlefield while still controlling its outcome, to make others chase shadows while you remain still, fully aware of their chaos. The moment you master that, you stop being reactive and start being revered. Because those who need nothing from anyone end up being desired by everyone. Most people misunderstand what it truly means to give attention. They assume it's harmless, just listening, replying, showing care. But Machiavelli would have smiled at that illusion. He knew attention is never neutral. It's always a transaction. Every glance, every word, every ounce of curiosity you give away is a transfer of energy. And when you give too much, you don't just lose focus, you lose power. Because people interpret your attention as emotional approval, and approval always diminishes your value in their eyes. This is why the people you treat best often take you for granted. Not because they're bad, but because human nature adapts to abundance. When something is always available, its value disappears. The same applies to you. When you are constantly accessible, replying instantly, explaining yourself, reacting to everything, you become background noise. But when you disappear, when your attention becomes scarce, the silence begins to scream. People start replaying every moment you ever gave them, wondering what changed. They crave the smallest signal from you, like addicts waiting for their next fix. Machiavelli would call this the psychology of deprivation. Humans don't desire what they have. They desire what is withheld. The less you reveal, the more they imagine. And imagination is stronger than reality. What they imagine you to be will always feel larger, deeper, and more magnetic than who you actually are. The world falls in love with mystery, not honesty. So when you stop giving attention, you create space for people to project their own fantasies onto you. You become a mirror that reflects what they secretly long for. You can see this dynamic everywhere. The quiet colleague who never engages in gossip suddenly commands more respect than the one who constantly talks. The ex who stopped responding becomes far more desirable than the one still trying to explain themselves. The celebrity who vanishes from the spotlight becomes a legend, while the one who overshares becomes disposable. Power isn't about more, it's about less. Machiavelli's brilliance lay in understanding that restraint can be louder than dominance. But withholding attention isn't arrogance, it's self-control. It's the refusal to let your focus be hijacked by those who haven't earned it. Machiavelli warned that rulers who tried to please everyone lost both their throne and their respect. The same is true in ordinary life. The moment you start trying to be liked by all, you become owned by all. Your energy scatters, your purpose dilutes. But when you redirect your attention inward, toward your goals, your discipline, your peace, you begin to radiate something the world can feel. Detachment that commands interest. Detachment doesn't mean coldness. It means mastery. It's the ability to feel deeply but reveal selectively. It's when your emotions serve your vision, not the other way around. People sense this control, and it draws them in. Everyone is searching for someone unswayed by chaos, grounded, composed, unbothered. Machiavelli knew that composure is a form of intimidation. When everyone else is frantic for acknowledgement, the one who doesn't need it becomes godlike in their calm. But here's the challenge. You cannot fake indifference. Pretending not to care while secretly obsessing over being noticed exposes you faster than words ever could. True power is when you could give attention, but consciously choose not to. It's when silence isn't forced, it's strategic. When absence isn't avoidance, it's direction. You must train yourself to find comfort in being misunderstood, unseen, even disliked. Because the moment you stop needing to be understood, you become unstoppable. Machiavelli would have advised observing people, the way a hunter observes prey, not with malice, but with patience. Watch how quickly they reveal their insecurities once your attention fades. The loudest voice in the room is often the weakest. Their noise is a disguise for dependence. When you stop feeding that need, their behavior unravels. They try harder, talk louder, over-explain, and every attempt to win your focus only exposes how much of themselves they've lost. In private relationships, this principle becomes even more powerful and far more dangerous. Those who once demanded your attention will bend, compete, and strive, all to regain the very thing you quietly withheld. You don't argue when they try to provoke you. You don't chase when they pull away. You simply let silence do what words never can. Soon, they begin second-guessing themselves. Did I say something wrong? Did I push too hard? They start chasing clarity while you remain composed. That imbalance of emotional energy is the seed of influence. Machiavelli understood that people are predictable in their need for attention. They will betray logic, dignity, even love, just to feel seen. You don't need cruelty to manipulate them. All you need is a deeper understanding of their hunger than they have themselves. Every reaction you give feeds their sense of importance. When you realize this, you begin to use your responses like currency. Some people get a glance, a few get a conversation. Only the worthy earn your full attention. That hierarchy creates value, and value generates reverence. The same principle applies to the modern world. Attention has become a form of slavery. People scroll endlessly, react to everything, and give away their mental space for free. Machiavelli's wisdom cuts through this illusion like a blade. Stop giving your focus without intention. Every time you do, you weaken the fortress of your mind. To truly stand out, you must become scarce, not only in presence but in perception. Let people guess your opinions. Let them wonder what you're thinking. Every unanswered question about you adds another layer of intrigue. The goal is not invisibility, it's unpredictability. Predictability is the death of influence. When people cannot anticipate your reactions, they cannot manipulate your emotions. And when they cannot manipulate your emotions, they begin to respect your boundaries. Machiavelli would call unpredictability the shield of the strong. You never reveal your full hand. You never expose what truly matters to you. You let others reveal their motives first, while you stay composed, observing quietly as they lay themselves bare, trying to earn your response. This doesn't mean detachment from life. It means participation with precision. You decide what deserves your attention and what doesn't. You determine who can affect your emotions. You stop being reactive and become deliberate. Your attention becomes your vote, the way you choose who wins your time, your thoughts, your peace. When you stop giving it away carelessly, the world begins to recognize your worth. People who once dismissed you will notice your distance. They will feel your energy shifting, and it will haunt them. This is the quiet transformation. Machiavelli wanted rulers and thinkers to master the art of making others crave your presence while you give them none. True control doesn't shout, it whispers. It doesn't beg for followers, it creates them naturally. Power at its highest level doesn't announce itself. It simply exists, and everyone else adjusts around it. Once internalized, every conversation changes. You stop filling silence with words. You stop explaining yourself to those who do not listen. You stop rushing to prove your worth. Instead, your restraint does the talking. Your calmness draws curiosity. The world begins to slow down, orbiting around your energy. This is the true weight of attention. It is not something you give. It is something that defines you. When you protect it, you cease being ordinary. You become someone people remember without knowing why. Someone whose absence feels louder than most people's presence. And Machiavelli would say, this is the ultimate trick. You make others crave what you no longer need to give. There is a certain silence that unsettles people, not empty but charged. When you withhold attention, that silence surrounds you like armor. You are not ignoring the world. You are observing it without obligation. Machiavelli would say this form of detachment is how power hides in plain sight. You become unpredictable, and unpredictability forces respect, even without understanding. In a world screaming to be noticed, the one who does not need to be heard becomes the loudest of all. When you stop reacting, you force others to confront themselves. Most people aren't seeking your attention. They are escaping their own insecurity through your validation. When you remove that escape, they are left alone with their discomfort. They start questioning themselves. What changed? Why am I no longer receiving what I once took for granted? That tension makes them attached to your image even more. You occupy their thoughts not by presence but by absence. Machiavelli called this the architecture of desire. People want not pleasure, but relief from uncertainty. The one who withholds attention becomes the source of that uncertainty, holding emotional power not by action, but by possibility, the maybe that keeps others within your orbit. Their imagination becomes your greatest ally. It allows you to influence without lifting a finger. This isn't cruelty, it's balance. The world confuses kindness with weakness, believing that caring requires availability. Machiavelli's lesson cuts through this. Kindness without boundaries is self-sabotage. To be respected, your attention must be a privilege, not a default. It must carry weight, consequence. Otherwise, you drown in the noise of those who do not value it. Every time you chase validation, you shrink in their eyes. They may respond politely, even engage, but deep down they know they've gained what you've lost. But when you stop seeking their approval, moving as though your focus is already complete, something shifts. You radiate quiet self-sufficiency, an energy that doesn't chase, doesn't plead, doesn't explain. It simply exists. Machiavelli would say, this is the moment. Attention transforms from something you give to something you generate. Your aura speaks before you do, and suddenly, You become a magnet, not by pulling, but by standing still. Your stillness disturbs their restlessness. They wonder what you're thinking, what you're hiding, what you see that they do not. It makes them self-conscious in your presence. That discomfort is power. It signals they've already placed you above them in the emotional hierarchy. Yet here is where most fail. They mistake control for arrogance. They withhold attention to act superior. Machiavelli would warn that arrogance breaks the illusion. Looking down on others exposes insecurity disguised as strength. True mastery is quieter. It doesn't announce detachment. It embodies it. Withholding attention is not to prove worth. It is to preserve energy. You refuse to play the game, and in doing so you rewrite the rules. Over time, certain people fade, those who valued only your attention. Let them go. Their departure proves they never recognized your value. The ones who remain are those who see your presence as a gift, not a right. Keep them, and your life becomes quieter, sharper, and infinitely more powerful. Attention is a paradox. Too little and you seem distant. Too much and you lose your edge. The balance lies in intentionality. Every gesture, pause, and acknowledgement must serve a purpose. Even kindness must be strategic. Smile when it strengthens your influence, not when it appeases. Speak when it clarifies your position, not to fill silence. Precision commands respect because it is rare. The modern world glorifies overexposure. Everyone shows everything: opinions, emotions, lives. The more people reveal, the less they are respected. Familiarity erodes fascination. Machiavelli understood that power needs, mystery like fire needs oxygen. It dies without it. When you stop giving attention indiscriminately, you protect what makes you magnetic, your depth. The less people know, the more they wonder. That curiosity becomes quiet submission. When people speculate, let them. When they try to provoke a response, let them fail. When they attempt to measure you, break the scale. Every failure to decode you increases respect. People do not admire what they fully understand. They admire what remains just out of reach. Machiavelli's ultimate lesson: fascination through restraint. Control your attention, and you control the narrative. The shift is subtle but unstoppable. Fewer arguments, fewer explanations, fewer emotional drains. People approach differently, more carefully, more intentionally. Your silence begins doing the work your words once struggled to do. Drama ceases because drama thrives on reaction, and you have become reactionless. Presence is not about being seen. It is about being felt. Soon, those who ignored you attempt to re-enter your world, testing boundaries, trying to provoke sparks. Do not give them what they seek. Maintain discipline. Keep your attention sacred. Let them crave what they once wasted. This is not revenge, it is balance restored. At its core, Machiavelli's lesson is ruthless in its simplicity. Stop being generous with what is valuable. Your attention, your time, your emotions. They are currencies that must circulate with purpose. When you stop giving them away freely, the world recalibrates. The balance of power flips quietly, invisibly, until one day you notice you are no longer chasing anything. They are chasing you. And that is the essence of Machiavelli's ultimate trick. You make people crave your presence by showing them you no longer need theirs. The most irresistible person in any room is not the adored, the praised, or the loudest. It is the one whose absence feels heavier than everyone else's presence. The one who exists quietly, deliberately, untouchably. That is the pinnacle of influence. That is mastery of attention.